Africa has great agricultural potential. More than 1/4 of the world's arable land is in Africa. So there's another reason why Africa has such a huge agricultural sector. But poor regulation can have a negative impact, as does the lack of enabling conditions. For example, transport and other infrastructure, stable business and economic conditions, trained business and scientific talent. Then, of course, there is the impact of climate change. Right, to transport and other infrastructure, I want to add potholes. Africa must do more to hold on to skilled workers. Future growth largely depends on how educated and skilled Africans view personal opportunities and how domestic and foreign investors view return on investment. This is strongly influenced by government policies and how government conducts itself. More transparent regulatory and legal systems, greater openness in trade, higher investment in infrastructure, etc. Right, almost finished. Environmental challenges and drivers. The NDP is clear on the effect of climate change and the link between environmental threats and poverty. Human activity is warming the planet faster than the slow natural cycles of warming and cooling. Carbon and other greenhouse gas emissions have contributed significantly to this. The NDP sees the threat to the environment and the challenge of poverty alleviation as closely intertwined. A low-carbon future is positioned as the only realistic option. This presents potential for innovation around energy systems. The political challenge is to develop policies and regulatory initiatives for improved resource management, for substantial clean technology industries, and to assist with the transition. In fact, I think, the huge challenge for all our governments is how to manage change, how to facilitate it, how to create an environment in which change and innovation can flourish. And it's a difficult thing because public service all over the world is not geared towards innovation, it's geared towards conformity and obedience. Science and technology as drivers of development. Okay, now we're getting to the real stuff. Developments in science and technology are fundamentally altering the way people live, connect, communicate, and transact, with profound effects on economic development. Science and technology are key to development because technological and scientific revolutions underpin economic advances, improvements in health systems, education, and infrastructure. Science and technology are seen as key to improving the lives of poor people in developing countries. These are the differentiators for developing economies to emerge as economic powerhouses when insights are applied creatively. Technology is defined as ranging from telecommunications to biotechnology and nanotechnology. Science innovations that are mentioned include proton cancer therapy, genetic engineering, nuclear batteries, and photovoltaics that make electricity from sunlight. Again, we have had some discussion forums on the latter, on photonics actually, and part of that is photovoltaics. Technology is seen as a way to increase productivity and to unlock access to affordable health and education. ICT and internet access provides access to many things such as knowledge and markets. You just have to be critical, as Debbie implied. If you Google something, just make sure you look at different sites and you see whether they have credible sources. It changes relationships between citizens and those in authority. At the same time, ICT and internet access depend on electricity and other power sources. No power, no access. Don't we all know that? When you can't charge your smartphone. There is a need to manage the challenges around technological revolutions. Yes, Debbie?
You don't mind it?
No.
I just wanted to say what was very interesting in the NDP is how, together with what we consider our typical science, engineering, and technology, our set topics, they've converged it with technology as in ICT, which does make sense when you see everything is converging. You know, technology as we see it within ICT, although in government it's all set in different departments, everything is now becoming interrelated. So when you see the recommendations and the comments that are made in the NDP, there's a link between it. When they speak about, like you said, Googling, people often take technology and put it outside of science. But technology has now become integral to the way that science is moving forward, and the NDP in 2011 already saw that.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of foresight in the NDP. Yes, one of the issues, speaking of that, is big data. And the problems of big data haven't been solved yet. I mean, the SKA, Lorenzo will tell us about that. That big data is really a key element of science and technological development. And it's where ICT and science converge. Right, to promote technological advances, developing countries need to invest in quality education for the youth, continuous skills training for workers and managers, and ensuring that knowledge is shared as widely as possible across society. There's a need to build knowledge capabilities and pathways, stocks and flows. Knowledge is the systematically integrated information that allows a citizen, a worker, a manager, or a finance minister to act purposefully and intelligently in a complex and demanding world. Love that definition. To encourage research and development, there is a need for investment, incentives, resource allocation of resources. Successful countries have grown their ability to innovate and learn by doing through investing public funding to help finance R&D in critical areas. Examples include the integrated value chains, just-in-time manufacturing, and total quality management in Japan, and the space program, defense and aerospace in the US. The just-in-time manufacturing includes 3D printing or additive manufacturing, which we've also been giving some attention to. In fact, the awards trophy is made with additive manufacturing. And that is a form of just-in-time manufacturing. In other words, you don't need a huge factory with assembly lines, as is traditional. You don't need molding, but basically you don't need to take things to scale. You can make particular parts, particular prostheses for people who need them in medicine. You can do that custom-made and in small quantities. Okay, the thing about innovation as well, this is something that is stressed by government and particularly by Department of Science and Technology. In fact, it's the key word in their policies.